Okay, so the agenda for today, it's me giving just a brief overview about the digital transformation in a more theoretical way. Then we have Quantitas, Tushio Shianovo and David Massaferro, sorry for my pronunciation. They are going to explain us more about the open data and the applications and the decision support systems. Then, if it's okay for everyone, we can have a 5 minutes break. And then we will have from Naturpolis, Sari Kumpuniemi, that who will explain us more about the website optimization and data analytics and insights. So are we recording the webinar?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's start. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about the digital transformation. What is digital transformation? I guess that everyone knows, but basically is to implement digital technologies that we have on the market and make the most of them in order to create or modify the business processes, culture, and customer experience in order to grow the companies, the enterprises. It's not just about digitalizing, sorry. It's more about rethink what you can have better or you can improve by utilizing these digital technologies. And here we have an evidence from the report that after the COVID-19, as everyone knows, many SMEs and enterprises have been implementing more technology and digital tools. So it has been up to 70% of them, which is quite a lot, and it will be even better and improving. Here you have a small, just a brief graphic explaining how is distributing the different tools or technologies that the SMEs and large enterprises and medium enterprises are using. And it was quite curious for me because if you see they are more into social media, marketing, and customer relationship, but for example, big data, maybe it's because they don't have enough information how to use this tool, or e-booking and orders, high-speed broadband. So it was surprising because I think that is because we need to have more information and they should be more aware how it could be beneficial for them, and it can be mm, it can make having more profits as well at the end. Okay, here I was just more focused on the European market. We can say the European Commission. You can see that the 56% the all enterprises have reached the basic level of digital intensity, which is, we have a lot of path ahead us. Then the large enterprises are 88%, and the SMEs, that is where we are more focused on, is 56%. Yes, this is just a brief report that I extracted from there, and you can see that the difference from large enterprises and the SMEs is quite big. So it means that maybe we have to boost a little bit more the digital policies or tools that we are using. So as I was mentioning, I was searching the report from the European Commission. This is a report that is focused on the tourism sector, and you can see how they describe the journey toward the digitalization in that sector. So first of all, we start with the traditional operators. Not having much technology and digitalization. It's traditional businesses practices, low levels of digitalization, focused on internal operation and creating value for tourism. Then if we go a little bit further, we have the e-business, which is more focused on sales and marketing. We can imagine that this when they are implementing more the marketing tools, social media, website, and so on. And then if we go further, we have the e-commerce, which is more about digitalizing the organization itself, which we have the digital business ecosystem. Is growing interconnectivity, incorporate diverse intermediaries, business to business to customers, customers to customers. And then if we go further, we have the smart tourism that it will be described as a strong digitalization. That is what we want to give to achieve. In that sense, the SMEs buy into smart destination vision, high level of innovation, digitalization, connection, and making the most of the digital tools that we have on the market. I really like this image because you can see as well how they analyze the opportunities, difficulties, motivation, and obstacles that they had, and regarding the SMEs, connected to the digitalization issues. So first of all, if we see the opportunities, we see that if we implement digitalization in the SMEs, enterprises, of course, we are going to have more customer acquisition. We are going to improve our visibility. We are going to expand international reach in the sense that everything is through internet. So we are going to save costs, a lot of costs. We have the improved service quality, and of course, the increasement of the visitor satisfaction. Then about the difficulties that they analyzed were the training of on new digital technology. This is totally related to the skills that we need in the market, the demands that if we want to go to the labor market, we need to use these digital technologies, tools that we are implementing in the organizations. Then we have the cost and uncertain return on benefits, that this is related to the risk that we can have and the fear that we have, in the sense that we know that we are going to invest some money, but we don't have for sure. We don't know for sure what's going to happen with this investment. And then we have the insufficient knowledge to identify opportunities. And this is really curious as well, because at the end, some tourism SMEs, we are in rural areas, or they are not in the cities that are bigger. So maybe you are missing some tool that you didn't realize, but it's on the market. So I think that that's important as well to have in mind, that there are many tools that can be useful and will make our companies better. Then insufficient technical knowledge is the same about the skills that I mentioned before. Lack of suitable of the shelf products within budget, because maybe the costs are not the same about the money that we are about the prices that we are showing. Then about the motivations of the SMEs in order to be digitalized, we have the improving online presence for competitiveness, which is logical. At the end, everything is online. So if you don't have a website, or you are missing some of these tools, you could be a little bit behind of everyone. Improving growth. Same than before, you will be able to reach more audience. Optimistic about future opportunities. Same, I guess that when you are in the loop, you are more aware of everything that it's around you. Addressing seasonality, which is really important for the tourism sector as well. And improving networks. For example, here we are in the project and we are learning a lot about different countries, different SMEs, different typologies, and different services that we are offering. And then we have the fourth step is the obstacles. We have lack of finance, which is something that is quite important as well here, because we are SMEs, we are small, and if we are gonna do an investment, it should be, it's difficult sometimes for us about the money. Current technology level is sufficient, because maybe we are in rural areas and we don't think that this is gonna be better for our company, even if it could be. High training cost, as I mentioned before, we need employees and more knowledge about the digital tools that we are using. Rapid pace of technological change. Everything is just moving so fast on the market, and cost of high speed broadband. So you can see that here on the left side, I just put the guide on geo funding for tourism, because as here we have the example of the LookUP project. I think that even if we need more, the European Commission has a lot of policies and is trying to give financial helps, or I don't know. We have, for example, the observatory as well on the tourism. We have many reports. So I think that this is something that we are looking forward to having all together. Okay, why does digital transformation matter? Even if everyone knows that it matters a lot, because right now we are in a world that is changing all the time. I think that the SME should be aware how much benefits they will get by implementing different. It doesn't have to be something really crazy, but for example, as I mentioned before, having Wi-Fi is really important. Having website is really important. Taking care of your social media that sometimes we forget, it's really important. So as I said, the customers now, we are digitally aware of everything. We want everything digital. We want personalized experiences, and this is really this is really connected to the presentations that we will have later, because for example, once we have all the data and we are able to use this data, we are able to have experiences like more tailored for our customers, what at the end is what they want. And the problem here is that if we don't have these options, we know that there are many competitors outside, so it's easy to find someone else that will give us these experiences that we are looking for. As I mentioned before, through the digitalization and new technologies, we can meet the expectations that our customers have. And yes, new offers more innovative and engage with more customers and be able to have different services and different yes products that could be exciting because they are more innovative. And at the end, when everything is more technological, we know that we can attract more customers. Here, I just wanted to give you the example of Barrabés.biz. For those who maybe didn't remember, I'm from Barrabés. So I think that it's really curious because we started in Benasque, which is a small town that is here in Spain, in the Pyrenees. And we had Barrabés had a clothes shop. I mean, it was retail. But in 1993, our CEO decided to create the first e-commerce in Europe, Barrabés.com. But this is the first opportunity that I can see here. Of course, our audience was broader, and that we have the opportunity to reach more people and to have a faster and easier purchases. But then the good point was that Barrabés, at the same time that we implemented the first e-commerce, a lot of companies that were just around us were asking why and how we implemented this e-commerce in Europe, which gave us the opportunity to diversify the company and then being what we are now, because we have the two businesses model, that is the consultancy. So yes, I have decided that it was really interesting because it was the first opportunity about having more audience. The second opportunity about having a new business model that means more profits and more opportunities in the future. Because then, as you can see in 26, we have we were able to go to different um, markets. In that sense, it was Mexico, San Francisco, then Napapiri was also there, and yes, you can see here that we inaugurated different models. Uh, is how is right now with growth, talent, and intelligence and scale up. We also went to the Emirates, and then I don't know if you remember that we were mentioning as well. I think that 2 webinars ago that we had a product that was the Attitude Academy, that basically is a platform in order to help the different to help SMEs in the digital transformation. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this because I think that it's a good example to understand that when you digitalize, you are having more opportunities, by more opportunities, and being more digitalized. It's like kind of a loop as well. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the digital strategy. This is gonna be more in the theoretical side. But of course, I invite you to use these steps, or even you can change the steps that you consider that are better for your business model in the project-based learning that we were discussing last week. I think that it could be really interesting as well. What is a digital strategy? It's a written plan that clarifies the goals that we want to get through these digital technologies. But for this, we are going to implement 9 steps in order to have everything identified, everything analyzed, and well established. Because as I mentioned before, if we are going to invest, we should be at least having got at least risk as possible. So for us, the first step that we have is to have the clear objectives that we want to get. what we want to achieve through this digital strategy, and be as specific as possible. This is really connected to the KPIs that we were talking last week about the project-based learning that I mentioned. So that's why I was mentioning that I think that it could be easier and smoothly if you want to implement the strategy. Here you have some examples. It has to be concrete. How many bookings you want to increase, the engagement in social media, and here we have reduced customer service response time to under 2 hours. Okay, it's something concrete. It can happen at the end or not, but at least you know what you're going to implement to get this exactly objective. Then, of course, we have the side of the audience, which is really important, because if we are going to establish some technological tools or digital tools, it could be, for example, the chatbot. We need to know if our audience is going to receive this change well. I mean, because maybe the age is not, I mean, maybe they are old people and they don't want to have something new, or maybe you can have a different audience through the new digital tool, but it could be different. I mean, the first audience, more old people, and then you can have another audience and you can implement it. So, really related to the project-based learning that I was mentioning before, you can do it through market research, customer surveys in the audience that you already have. I mean, in the with the customers that you already have, or potential customers that maybe could be interesting as well. Okay, you have here some examples in order to know the behavior of the audience and how it will work. Okay, then we go to the third step, and this the evaluation of your current digital presence. It means how digital you are, and of course, I think that here it's really important to underline that you have to see the competitors, what they are doing, how they are improving, basically analyzing the benchmark, because maybe you are missing some tool that could be really interesting for you. You have the website, social media accounts, and yes, you have many digital tools that could be used. Here, you also add some examples. We have, of course, the website, having all the analysis that we could get from there, and how they react. For example, the reviews that we can have on the website, social media engagement. Okay. This step, the fourth one, is everything is connected, of course, but this is also really connected to the one before, because first of all, we need to identify what we have on the market and what meets our business plan, in the sense that not all the digital tools are good for our businesses. It depends, and of course, with the competitors and what they have, and how we can innovate as well and being different from them. Here, use SEO tools to optimize the customer relationship management. That maybe you can change it or you can implement it, because sometimes we know that when we are quite small, we are just using something simple. So maybe it could be really, really good, and it can save a lot of time, which is important. Then we have the creation of the content strategy as the fifth step. Yes, that basically is what you want to show to the audience. You can think that maybe this is a little bit focused on the digital marketing side, but it's because at the end, we have considered that if you are gonna implement any digital tool or technological tool, you are gonna everything is gonna go through the digital marketing. So that's why the content is really important, because, for example, as I was mentioning before, you have the new chatbot in your website. So you have to promote it. You have to show yourself as innovative SMEs that have the chatbot. I'm saying chatbot, but it could be, I don't know, artificial intelligence or metaverse, for example. So that's why it's more focused on the digital part, on the marketing part. Sorry. Exactly, regular post blogs on your website, how to attract different audiences, photos, videos, and of course, as much innovative as possible in order to have more opportunities. Okay, this is the another step, of course. The number six, and it's really important to understand what you are gonna use and what resources you have in your company. I mean, we have to be realistic. For example, now, um, I forgot to mention that, of course, last week when we were talking about the project-based learning, we have to be realistic about what we want to implement in the new business models, because at the end we are not asking for the financial part, but we have to be aware about what we have and what we can afford to implement the business. So for this, we have the just some different examples: budget for hiring a digital marketing specialist, maybe paying for digital advertising on platform like Google, Facebook, even LinkedIn with different influencers, and so on. Of course, we have the step of the implementation. Once we have all the information, we have analyzed everything, and we know what we want and how to implement it, we have to implement it. And yes, we have different examples. Redesign your website because maybe you realize that you are losing a lot of potential customers because maybe it's not intuitive or it's not beautiful, because it matters as well. Then launch a social media campaign promoting a special discount, because maybe after your analysis you realize that if you have a discount now, you will have the loyalty of your audience. So yes. Okay. As always, we have the part of knowing what we have achieved and where we were in the past. So for this step, we have to have some tool in order to measure and to adjust what maybe we were not doing well in order to improve the the metrics, we can say. So yes, as I said as well last week, um, we can have as many mistakes as we want. No, but I mean, if we are if we are in the stage, in the phase that we are trying something, because you can try some new digital tool in a small with a small audience, it's better to change everything in that moment. So that's why I think that this step is really important in order to when once you have launched this digital tool, just have a small test, and then you can modify and you can redo as many times as you want what you have implemented. So here we have some Google Analytics to track website traffics in order to know how, for example, the conversion rate is going, if you are incrementing your, I don't know, your reservations, for example, for the tourism. Then we have the monitor social media engagement, and yes, and maybe you have to modify, and you have to just to readjust your content strategy in order to engage more audience. Okay, then we have the final step that basically is that we have to be, as I mentioned, that we have to be aware about what's happening in the on the market, what's the latest trends and technologies, and try to implement them, because of course no one wants to be behind the competitors. So this is really important, and for these things we need to be proactive. We have to go to webinars, we have to follow different competitors, we have to, yes, to go to different events, maybe for example, now that we are having different webinars all together, and we are going to have different um, spaces to share our trends, it's important to see as well maybe different countries, and you are able to be the first one in your region. For example, we have here virtual reality, how now is becoming more and more and more popular, and I will show you some example later. So yes, we can see that we can say that this is the last step. As I said, it could be really intuitive because of course we are analyzing and so on, but it's important that when we have to do the process, that we keep in mind that all the steps are important, because at the end they are getting feedback from each other if you want to have a good digital strategy. Okay, here we have, just, this is gonna be really brief. We have one use case that is Sea View Retreat. Basically, it's a hotel, a very relaxing hotel, as you can see. And for them, I mean, in their example, they wanted to have more online bookings. They wanted to improve the website traffic, and they wanted to boost the social media engagement and having more followers and following more of competitors as well. So and just following the steps that I mentioned, here we have to understand the audience. They realized that the target audience were as well international travelers that were going there, between 25 to 50 years old, who value unique personalized experience, as I mentioned before. They made some different customer surveys and data analysis in order to know what they wanted and how they could prefer booking online. With all the information, they also analyzed how was their current digital presence. CVU has a website, but is not mobile friendly, sorry, and lacks multiple language options, which you can imagine that this is not really good for the organization if we think that we are talking about international audience that, of course, wants to have all the information with their own languages. They analyze their social media engagement and yes, and find that posting featuring guest experiences and scenic views or maybe interviews could be better in order to attract more potential clients. Then they went to the further step. The fourth one, the identification of the necessary digital technologies and platform, what we need to implement in order to get what we expect, the objectives that we want to get. So decided to renovate the website to have a better experience, mobile optimization, which is really important nowadays, and multilingual support. They chose Instagram and Twitter, thinking about more or less the audience that they had. And they decided to implement different tools to have a property management system about everything that they were doing for smoother bookings and customer relationship management. As I mentioned before, I'm sure that they were using another one, but they decided that maybe having more time, or if it's faster or more agile, could be better for the system, for the company. Here, the content strategy, this is something that I was mentioning before about that it was focused on the digital marketing. So they decided to share in the social media high quality photos and videos of the hotel and surroundings, guest experiences that maybe it could be through different interviews, and user generated content on the social media. Be active, basically. So they plan to use personalized email for booking confirmation, special offers, and post-stay communication. Because as we know, even if we are aware that maybe the communication is not personalized, we like when we have our name, we have our details, and they have written exactly what we have bought in that moment. Then the allocation of resources is that the allocated budget for the website renovation, of course, social media, implementing different tools that were better for the whole process of the company, and they hire different employees in order to manage digital channels, creating content, analysis of performance data. Okay. I'm gonna try to be faster now, but basically, CView what did was to implement the strategy with the renovation of the website, with the implementation of all the tools and everything that they had to vote in that moment, or they had to buy in that moment, or they had to hire. Then they used Google Analytics in order to track the website traffic, knowing who was going, how many users, if it was more than once, or they went repeating, bounce rate, and conversion rate. Social media analytics is another tool as we know, in order to know how everything is going, if we have more followers, maybe some comments, stories, and so on. And then the different, as I mentioned, the different tools in order to email, yes, in order to send different emails and how they were answering to the emails, if they were opening, if maybe we send any discount if they were showing interest to these discounts, and so on. Yes. And then we have the last step, which is, as I mentioned before, that they were proactive. They were going to different webinars, following different industry blogs, maybe some event about hotels itself, and participating with relevant forums to stay informed about what's the trends and what is the technological domain on the market. And yes, and of course they were periodically reviewing what was happening, the digital strategy from the different competitors, and yes, and how everything was how everything was changing in the digital landscape related to the hotels and what customer wants. Okay, here I just chose some disruptive examples because I think that it's important to have the practical way, I mean, to see something that is really interesting that could work. So first of all, I just wanted to mention some technology that could be really interesting for the tourism sector. Of course, we know that it could be interesting, but maybe we have to be able to translate once we have these digital tools implemented, how we are going to see that is going to be better. For example, we have here the artificial intelligence, that we will have more information. This is something that we will have the presentation later. But we have to be able to understand that what we can do with all this data that we can get. So in this case, for example, I know that you can have the example of a customer that is going to go to the hotel, as I was mentioning before. You have more data from him and all their tastes, what they want, what they do, what they like, what hobbies he has in that sense. So when he goes to the hotel for the first time, maybe you can receive this customer with a, I don't know, with a wine that you know that he likes. So this is really important because it makes the difference from the other competitors, because you know that this person is gonna repeat for sure. I'll do it. Then we have the chatbot, which basically means a lot of time savings, because when we have someone that is face to face, no, it's a person that you have behind the screen, you know that it's gonna be quite difficult that the answer is really quickly, and maybe even the information that they are sharing is not really precisely. So this is another really good tool that we have in the tourism sector. Then we have the voice assistants that, yes, adapting the content of the website to respond voice searches. Yes, we have Alexa, for example. I mean, this is something that is getting more and more famous, and it could be really worth for the tourism sector as well. Then we have the metaverse, which is something that I think that it's more difficult right now, but we have already some examples how restaurants are implementing this, how different hotels have this option just to have the experience even before that you go to the place itself. So this is really good because you know that the customer that will go knows what he or she will find in that moment. So yes, you know that the expectations that they have is what they are gonna have in the real moment. Then this is a small example, but we know that the ultra high speed Wi-Fi it's really important in the tourism sector when everyone is traveling, everyone is in different hotels, or even different activities. This is something that we value a lot. So yes. Then we have the robot technology that it depends on the sector as well. I mean, on the sector, on the product or service that you are offering, but it's something that is getting more and more famous as well in the tourism, and basically it's because it can be automatically established, and of course it's a lot of time saving as well, timing saving. Yes. And then we have the contactless payment options, which is another technology implementation that it's really important nowadays, because after COVID-19, I think that cash is disappearing slowly, but this is happening. So this is another example that is really important in the tourism sector for all the services and the products that you can be selling. And just to finish with this session, we have, I guess that maybe you have seen this example, is Mario. Is the robot that in Ghent, Belgium, the Marriott Hotel has implemented. Is interactive. You can talk to him. He knows your habits. So it's becoming quite famous. Then another example that we are talking about disruptive things that, of course, it's quite different. We have the Wendy's restaurant in the metaverse that is really interesting as well. So I invite you to go and see the video. And it's quite weird, even if we know that the metaverse is on the market, it's really impressive. I have put a YouTube video in case you would like to see it afterwards. Then we have the Blue Bot that it's quite famous as well in the KLM. You can see that yes, with artificial intelligence, what they were doing was combining both the personal, the chat that had behind the human agents, and then when they realized that by implementing this artificial intelligent tool, they will reach more audience, because they can, as I mentioned before, they can answer faster, they can have like more concrete information or more tailored information for the person that is asking. It has been a successful, as you can see. And then we have just the last example that it's as well really interesting for the tourism sector, is yes, having the virtual reality, the augmented reality in the different activities or products, in that sense, is activities that we are offering, because it makes the service that you are giving like more attractive, more interesting for the person, for the customer, because it can be seen in a real life. I mean, everyone has experienced these kind of tools, and you feel like more comfortable, and you are within this world and this experience that you are having. For example, when I was adding this photo, I remember El Anillo, the astronomical, observatory that is in Extremadura, and we will go to visit it. And it has as well augmented reality, and it's really interesting because you can see all the planets, how they are with fire, for example, the sun. So yes, even if we can think that is not that important, it makes you feel like yes, that you have the experience even better, and you are within this world of stars and sky in that sense. Okay, so that's all from my side. It was just a brief overview about what we have and what we can use. And I guess that we can go to Duccio.
Hello everyone.
Hello. Duccio, do you want
I
me to
hope
share the screen, or you want to share your own screen?
I prefer to
To
share
share
my
your own?
screen
Okay,
if it's possible.
of course, of course.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second. Okay, perfect.
Thank you. So, okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Duccio Schiavone. I'm a project manager at Quantitas. Quantitas is a data-driven company located in Venice, Italy. We are statistician, software engineers. We are, generally speaking, data scientists, because we are covering many parts of the data management and analysis efforts. We are involved in many different European projects as technical partner, as we are doing currently in the LookUP project. And I'm here in order to talk about open data and its applications. Open data is a very increasing point of interest for all European communities who want to accelerate or create new business based on the IT information shared by all the communities in all the types of communities in Europe in Europe. And of course, the European Commission as and for the European Parliament as well. Open data is a very important entity because the impact of this kind of information is considered very, very precious. And let's see in which way. So most of the material I'm going to show you is taken from the site portal data.europa.eu. This is the official portal for European data. It is managed by Publications Office of the European Union. On April 21 of 12 and 21, Data European EU was launched as a single access point for open data, published by the European institutions, national portals of the EU member states and non-member states, as well as other international organizations of predominantly European scope. The portal consolidates datasets previously available via the EU Open Data Portal and the European Data Portal into a single meta catalog. The European Data Portal launched in its beta version on November 2015, was an initiative of the European Commission, and currently more than 1,400,000 datasets, 1,004,000 datasets are published in the portal, originating from 165 catalogs. The contents of the portal are available in all 24 European official languages and can be freely reused for any purposes as open data following the specific license terms of dataset. What is open data? Open data is data that anyone can access, use, and share. Open data becomes usable when made available in a common machine readable format. Later we'll see what does it mean. Open data must be licensed. Its license must permit people to use the data in any way they want, including transforming, combining, and sharing with others, even commercially. Without data, we can't build information, and without information, there is no new knowledge. Let's see what does it mean. From raw material to new information and knowledge. Let's start with data. Data is the raw material from which information and knowledge can be derived. Think of data as those locations, for example, images, descriptions, reviews, and prices that form the basis of information that can help you plan a holiday, for example. Information. Data becomes information when it's it is given a context. Following on from the previous example, locations, images, descriptions, and prices can all help provide information related to a tourist attraction. The collection and presentation of data helps to form information. And this is the second step of this pyramid. And finally, the knowledge. Knowledge is what is derived from information and personalized for your needs. Building knowledge is a process of turning information into choices. Building on the previous example, knowing that no one in your family likes theme parks will help you to decide which places to avoid on holiday and which would suit your family better. And this is the pyramid that takes you from the raw material to knowledge. What makes data open? Data is open if anyone can access, use, and share it, as we saw before. There are some simple things to consider when defining openness. Limitations. For data to be open, it should have no limitations that prevent it from being used in any particular way. Anyone should be free to use, modify, combine, and share the data, even commercially. Costs. This is a very tricky point. Open data must be free to use, but this does not mean that it must be free to access. There is often a cost to creating, maintaining, and publishing usable data. Ideally, any fee for accessing open data should be no more than the reasonable reproduction cost of the unit of data that is requested. This reproduction cost tends to be negligible for many data sets. Live data and big data can incur ongoing costs related to reliable service provision. Let's think about, for example, the maintaining cost due to web hosting or web server hosting. Reuse. Once the users have the data, they are free to use, reuse, and redistribute it, even commercially. Aspects like format, structure, and machine readability all make data more usable and should all be carefully considered. However, this does not make the data more open. Why do we need open data? Open data can help bring diverse benefits to the governments, businesses, and civil society. Let's see for which kind of impact the open data has in transforming governments. Open data can help make governments more transparent. First of all, it can provide the evidence that public money is being well spent and policies are being implemented. Some examples, according to leading open government activist David Eves, open data allowed citizens in Canada to save the government $3.2 billion in fraudulent charitable donation in 2010. Another example is Lexbase, that is a web service that provides public information from Swedish courts and other authorities. On the website, judgments and criminal and civil cases concerning individuals and companies can be found. The database is updated with new judgments and decisions every day. Another example, it is according follow the money in January. The same process is used to ensure that public funds are spent implementing policies promised to the people. Let's see what open data, what kind of the impact the open data has in terms of building new business opportunities. Open data is opening up new opportunities for for businesses to connect with customers. Let's see an example. Transport for London. Transport for London is one of the local government body responsible for most of the transport network in London, and released the open data that developers have used to build over 800 transport apps. Another example is Starbucks. Starbucks, as you probably know, is an American multinational chain of coffee shops and coffee houses. Starbucks, through its mobile app, has been collecting data about what, where, and when members buy coffee. The correlation of the customer's data with the local open data, for example, about weather conditions, mobility, local services, etc., allows Starbucks to exploit a cloud-based artificial intelligence engine that's able to recommend food and drink items in a precise manner. Another example is from John Deere. John Deere is an American corporation that manufactures agricultural machinery and forestry machinery. MyJohnDeere.com is an open data platform that can be used by farmers opting to share their data. The more data that is collected, the more valuable it becomes to all stakeholders. Farmers benefit from analyzing data collected over time and from other farmers' data to inform decisions, and Deere and software developers glean more insights, paving the way of development of new value-added products and services. Another example is Kellogg. It's from Kellogg Company. Kellogg Company is an American multinational food manufacturing business known for its famous breakfast cereals and snack brands. Data scientists at the Kellogg Company used government data to explore the impacts of cold weather condition on consumer spending behavior. For example, the Kellogg Company discovered that sales drop when temperatures are below 20 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 consecutive days, but that they may not drop on Fridays when the effect of payday outweighs the effect of weather. Thanks to this kind of outputs, Kellogg Company changed the digital coupon distribution schedule to drive consumers to make purchases on Fridays, since the data analysis demonstrated that the day was relatively waterproof. In Paris, cafe owners are using open data to attract tourists to the city's most affordable coffees, while in Iceland, for example, farmers are using open data about the quality of their lands to attract new customers. But these are only a few examples of what we can create using open data for our business. Open data is supporting innovation and growth by revealing opportunities for business, large and small, to build new services, identify savings, and improve operations. Data literacy is a core skill for businesses looking to take advantage of the opportunities open data offers to create new value and improve operations. We can use open data to protect our planet. The web has become a core part of our infrastructure, and open data will build on this. Open data about weather, for example, can provide an early warning system for environmental disasters. Open data is also helping consumers to understand to understand their personal impacts on the environment and take steps to improve it. And the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, makes all their data available to anyone who wants to access it. Let's pass to see another aspect of the point about this is about license. Why license open data? Okay, without a license, data is not truly open. A license tells anyone that they can access, use, and share your data. Unless you have a license, data may be publicly available, but users will not have permission to access, use, and share it under copyright or database laws. Licensing gives permission to the business, startups, governments, and individuals to innovate, providing certainty. Open data licenses provide the users with certainty that the data can be used and shared for a wide range of purposes. An open data license is an explicit permission to use the data for both commercial and non-commercial purposes. Without a license, users may find themselves in a legal gray area. Licensing gives permission to businesses, startups, etc., to innovate, providing clarity. As of 12-15, only around 46% of data in open data catalogs across the European Union is truly openly licensed. In European Union, copyright and database laws are complex. While data might be intended to be open, a license provides legal clarity for users. There is an entity that is Open Data Monitor platform that provides information and statistics on European open data catalogs. Licensing enables innovation. Open data licenses enable experimentation, exploration, and innovative uses of open data in new products and services. For example, as we already saw, Transport for London's transport data is openly licensed. It has underpinned a wide range of public transport journey planners available as apps on smartphone and mobile devices. And this has been implemented because the realization of a licensing system. The types of licenses. The claim is the simpler the license, the better. There are lots of different licenses. To maximize use, try to adopt a license standard that is already widely used. The European portal also provides a simple license system to help you choose the right license for your data. It's very easy to use, and you have only to specify the terms of your license, and it gives you immediately a format, a standard for understandable for every users. The most common license system for adopting and using open data is the Creative Commons licenses. Creative Commons licenses are widely used for open content, and its version 4.0 explicitly considers data licensing. There are 3 Creative Commons versions of an open license. The first one is the public domain. Public domain corresponds to no copyright. Person who associated a work with this has dedicated the work to the public domain by waiving all these or her rights to the worldwide under copyright law, including all relative and neighboring rights to the extent allowed by law. You can copy, modify, distribute, and perform the work even for commercial purposes or without asking permission. The second one, excuse me, the second one is attribution. With the attribution license, you can share, which means copy and distribute the material in any medium or format, and adapt, which means to remix, transform, and build upon the material for any purpose, even commercially. This license requires that you must give appropriate credit, provide a link to the license, and indicate if changes were made. The public domain, as we just saw, and attribution licenses give most flexibility in the use of data, while a share alike license may limit the commercial use of the data. Community-driven standards. Let's see the last points of the presentation. Community-driven standards define the legal, practical, technical, and social requirements for an open data set to be useful. First of all is the legal requirements that we have to take in consideration. In addition to the open license, there are 3 legal requirements that need to be considered. You must protect sensitive information like personal data, preserve the rights of the data owners, and promote correct use of the data. The practical requirements, for the practical requirements, it is important that open data can be found or relied upon by users. This means that open data publishers must link to the data from their website, update the data regularly if it changes, commit to continue to make the data available. The technical requirements are 3 recommendations that define the technical aspects of open data: the format in which the data is published, the structure of the data, and the channels through which the data is available. These are 3 kind of information that is explicitly defined, publicity exposed by the entities who publish open data. Social requirements. For data use to be sustainable, it is important to have an engaged community of users. The best datasets have active support channels, discussion group and forums, published how-to guides on working with the data. So most recommendable thing is to provide a kind of a side service to the publishing open data. Marquees of quality. Marquees of quality. This is the last slide. Marquees of quality provides user with confidence about the quality and usability of open data. There are 2 key indicators of open data quality. I reported the first one, excuse me, but this is the most important, maybe the only one you have to take into consideration in a first preliminary phase of approaching open data, that is a 5 stars system. The 5 stars of linked open data include the basic legal definition and technical excellence of the published data. That is, of course, as we just saw, the linked open data. In a very simple way, there are 5 different different steps of quality. That the most basic one is the PDF, that is a commercial format through which the open data can be published, and you can have increasing of the quality passing through an Excel format that is proprietary format, but it is a tabular format and very machine readable format, passing to the CSV, that is not a proprietary format, spreadsheet file, to the last and most qualitative format for the open data. Anyway, I just concluded my presentation. As I already mentioned, I invite you to visit the portal data.europa.eu in order to access to all the informative modules about open data. And so that's it from myself.
Thank you so much, Duccio. So yes, David, maybe we can go on you. Do you want me to share the
Yes.
screen or?
I'll share it myself because I
Okay.
also need to show my my browser at some point.
Perfect.
Okay, you should be able to see it, correct?
Yes. Yes, we
Okay.
can see it.
So I'm David Mazzaferro. Duccio already introduced Quantitas. I'm a junior analyst at Quantitas. I'm gonna give you a very brief, very top level presentation on data-driven decision support system. And we're gonna see what is a support system, a decision support system, or DSS, what type of data can be included, what are the data sources specifically for tourism DSSs, the types of decision support systems, and how they can integrate tourism impact indicators into tourism management system and processes, and the benefits of them. And finally, we're going to see very quickly 3 examples of online readily available DSSs that are data-driven. So what is a decision support system? DSSs are basically computer programs, applications that are used to improve a company decisions-making capabilities. This is very broad. That can mean very, very many things, and we'll see there are many types of DSSs that can help in very different ways. But at their core, they are software or program applications that can be used to improve a company ability to make decisions. They often analyze large amounts of data, so they can provide the best possible options available. Now that we know what DSSs are, we can take a look at what type of data might be used in a DSS. They can come from all kinds of sources, from communication systems to the internet, to data generated by the business process, to data gathered automatically from all kinds of sources of sensor, and it can also be crowdsourced as well. Most of it can be used in tourism statistics and operations. Not all of it is useful, of course, as most data, there are use cases. In tourism, most of the data is generated by the user himself. I'm going to go back to what Duccio and Julia said. If you see a website with pictures, with some reviews, this is the kind of data that will drive you most often to choose to go to a place instead of another. And in this case, it is generated by the user himself. Another big part of data in tourism is gathered by devices and their sensors. This can be all kind of things from GPS to Bluetooth to meteorological data, and finally the remaining is basically generated by transaction traffic, which is stuff like web searching, web pages visiting, online booking and purchasing, etc. So what kind of decision support systems there are? There are 5 main ones. We are going to be focused mostly on the first one on this list, which is data-driven DSSs. But there are also model-driven DSSs, communication or group-driven DSSs, knowledge-driven DSSs, and document-driven DSSs. In this slide, it's a bit more explained better, but basically data-driven DSSs are based on databases, whether they are internal to an organization or external. They use data mining techniques to discern trends and patterns for predicting future events. It's basically what you would expect from a data-driven support system. Model-driven support systems tend to be more customized to the user requirements. They're used to analyze different scenarios. They're used in stuff like project planning, budgeting decisions, investments, all this kind of stuff. Communication and group DSSs basically use any sort of communication system that allows a company to be more productive or to improve the efficiency of a certain system. This can be all sort of stuff from chat to emails, anything that can enable communication for efficiency. Knowledge-driven DSSs are basically DSSs where data is continuously updated, and it is basically the knowledge base of, for example, a company. An example of this could be software that identifies new or current customers who might be interested in products. And finally, a document-driven DSS is anything that allows you to search web pages, databases, or find specific keywords or search terms within a whole bunch of documents. This can be stuff like search engines, database searches, article databases with search function, stuff like this. Now, how can DSSs integrate tourism impact indicators into the tourism management process? Well, DSSs can help collect, store, and organize data. And this can make them into more consistent and accessible formats. It can also help you analyze, visualize data using more or less complex tools like statistics, indicators, dashboards. It can be more or less visual. It can also help model, simulate what impact tourism on different dimensions, such as environmental, social, cultural, economic. What is the impact of tourism on these dimensions? And it basically can allow you to pose what-if questions. It can also help evaluate and prioritize the impact of the tourism using various criteria. And one aspect that is often under-considered is DSSs can help communicate and share these results and the analysis of these results very efficiently, especially if they are very visual. So the benefits of using a DSS for tourism impact indicators are many. One of them is they can improve data quality and availability for everyone. They can reduce gaps, errors, inconsistencies within data. They can help enhance the knowledge and understanding of the impact of tourism on a specific destination. It can help optimize decision-making processes, planning processes. It can help you, going back to what Julia says, it said it can help you decide what are your goals. For example, it can increase stakeholder participation in your decisions, and this can be done thanks to the very readability of sharing of data through DSSs. But also it can help you monitor and report performance and progress, especially if the DSS is viewed throughout a time span, like say every year. You can have a very clear path of progress throughout the time of, for example, a company or a region. So to show you a bit more hands-on how these DSSs may look like, we have compiled a list of a few open DSSs that you can find and you can browse for yourself at your leisure. The first one we're going to see is the Smart Culture platform, the TTCI part of the Smart Culture platform. It's basically 14 indicators extracted from the World Economic Forum's Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Index, that's a mouthful, TTCI, that have been repurposed and regionalized, and they provide basically a comprehensive focus on core tourism-related features within the EU. I'm gonna share it with you in the chat if you want to give it a look immediately. But basically, you should now see my browser. It is a very, very simple visualization of these 14 indices: international openness, prioritization of travel and tourism, ICT readiness, human resources and labor market, health and hygiene, safety and security, business environment, price competitiveness, environmental sustainability, air transport infrastructure, ground and port infrastructure, tourist service infrastructure, natural resources, and cultural resources and business travel. Now, what you're seeing is the European average. It is given a score. And from the drop-down menus, we can choose basically any of the state in Europe, for example, Spain. And it is not updating with the Spain data, so let's refresh. I see the dots, but not the data updated. We should see something like this, basically. If we compare the data of a single state, it's going to be appearing here as a dashed line. But also we can go in more in depth, and we can, for example, choose to look at the Extremadura data. Oh, it's appearing now. And we can have an overall view of how Extremadura performs compared to European average. Another example for the friends in Kusamo would be to go to Finland and choose North and East Finland. Or for our Romanian friends, where is Romania? The Danube Delta is in Southeast Romania, and we can have this sort of visualizations that give us an overall view on the impact of the country or the region we select overall in Europe. Another important DSS that we chose to show is the Shape Tourism Observatory. It's not strictly related to the 3 areas in LookUP, so it's not about Extremadura, Kusamo, and Southeast Romania. but it can give you an idea of what a DSS looks like and what it allows you to do. These are interactive maps. They cover 52 Mediterranean regions, and they can go more deep in specificity in the territory. So you can see, instead of an overall region, you can see the local, the single urban administration division, they call it. And you can see it for 4 main dimensions, which are reputation, which is basically the public opinion, the attractiveness, which is overall how a place is perceived, the competitiveness, which is an overall quality, future potential, and sustainability indicator. And finally, sustainability, it's a dimension of itself. It basically tells us how much a region takes full account of future economic, social, and environmental impacts. So if we go, for example, in the reputation maps, we can see these are the mapped regions. As we can see, the Danube Delta is not present, nor is Finland. Unfortunately, Extremadura is just outside, but we can choose between attractions, rentals, restaurants, hotels. Every one of these dimensions has their own indicators, which you can explore from this list. So for example, in attractions, you may want the average rating, or what the influx of viewers of visitors is during a certain period of the year. And we can see that not only do we have a regional index, we can go even deeper and see really close. For example, Galarosa might be a very good in terms of rating. It has an average of 5, whereas Huelva, Cumbres de San has a lower rating. So this can allow you to pose what-if questions. What if I were to run my business in the nearby municipality, for example, or how do I stack up against my competitors in the same region? So say if I have a business in Andalusia that has an average rating of I don't know, 4.5, is that good? Is that bad? Well, it seems to be better than average. So this kind of tools can help you also shape your goals. They can help you understand what your competition is and how you stack up against it, right? And lastly, we wanted to show you the UNWTO tourism dashboard, which is much less regional in the sense that it allows to see only countrywide data, but it can be important. For instance, if we look at inbound tourism, we can check for Spain, for example, and we can see how it stacks up against 2019 or against the previous year. But also we can see how the arrivals are distributed throughout the year. This can be an important metric, because say our business has a high influx of visitors during January, where the country average is very low, and a low average of visitors during August, then we might start to ask ourselves some questions. What are we doing wrong? How can we use also the visitors that come in summer? These are all the kind of questions that can be posed with this kind of tools. So this was it for me. It was a very high level overview of DSSs. Hope I've been exhaustive enough. Thank you. And the real message is data support systems can help greatly in making decisions, and they can help as SMEs or even smaller businesses make better decisions.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
I really think that you're right, and it's really inspirational. I don't know if maybe someone has any question.
I also just put in the last two links in chat because I saw I forgot to.
Okay, perfect. They were really nice, actually, and useful. Okay, so if nobody has any question, maybe we can just jump to the break. What do you think about 10 minutes break, more or less? Is it okay for everyone?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so see you in yes, 10 minutes. Hello, everyone again. Is everyone back? Okay, let's wait a
Hopefully
couple of
so.
minutes. Yes.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Okay, 2 minutes, and then we can start, of course.
Yeah. Hopefully, I stay online, since in Finland or in Ruka-Kuusamo, we're experiencing the first thunderstorm for this summer, of course,
Really?
right now. So
Oh,
they're not
okay.
usually very bad in our area, but I've lost internet connection already twice today, which
Okay,
is
so hopefully it won't happen.
hopefully,
Anyway, we know
yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I actually have two connections. So if my landline stops working, then I can jump to mobile. But I already did that once, and then the mobile stopped working,
Okay.
but the landline was working fine. So
Okay, hopefully no.
of course, always something like this
We'll
happens
see.
when you need to be online.
Yes. This is
This
the
just
reason.
this just underlines the importance of quick internet connections
Exactly.
and reliable as well.
The digital transition. Exactly.
Yeah, so true.
Mm. Sari, do you want me to share the screen or?
I will be sharing since I'll be using my browser as well.
Okay.
So
Okay,
it's better
it's
that
just to
way.
have everything ready. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
I do.
So I guess that we can start. Hopefully everyone is here inside. And yes, do you want to introduce yourself, Sari, and explain more?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
and I will be sharing my screen at the same
Awesome.
time as well. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Okay, it actually jumped to another screen. But just a second. This is interesting.
Sure.
I have 3 screens, so
Okay.
maybe
You can
just
get crazy.
quickly, I might have to shift into the PDF file to make
Okay.
sure that we can actually see it. Just a second. And now, of course, it got jammed in between the windows. Here we go. Now you should be able to see it.
Yes, we can see it. Yes, perfect.
Okay, so I'm excited to be here today. This is where I come from, and this is who we are. So my name is Sari Kumpuniemi. I'm from Ruka-Kuusamo. you've already had presentations from our area earlier. At least Tessa has been talking to you about sustainability. So you already know something about LookUP. So the basics that I gathered here are mainly related to digital transformation and altogether things related to digital. When talking about our guests, 3 quarters are domestic and only 25% international. This was pretty much prior to COVID-19. Of course, at the moment, we're not still reaching those numbers, especially since Russian guests were playing a big role earlier in our area, but we're getting there pretty fast at the moment. And regarding growth, of course, we're aiming on getting international growth because there are limitations on how many Finns we can actually attract to our area. And at the moment, tour operator sales is important to us, but the growth that we're trying to reach is based on the individual guests, mainly talking about FIT travel, flexible, independent travelers. And when thinking about these people, the stuff that we do in the digital world is really important. When talking about my background, I've been working in LookUP in travel trade since 2004 in sales and in marketing. And at the moment, I'm the product owner of our DMO website, the regional marketing website, ruka.fi. And I've also done a whole lot of social content and social media marketing. So all the stuff that I'm talking today is familiar to me, even if nowadays I mainly work with the website stuff and not that much on the social media side. We have separate people working on that. I have two things or main topics to talk about today: website optimization and then data and data analysis. But whatever we start talking about today, we always need to take a look at our customers' paths. Here's one model how to figure it out. We need to know who they are, why are they coming here, what do they want to do, what do they want to buy from us, and when do they come, how or where do they want to use their products or services. This where or how is more important when talking about products, but it does have some relations in talking about services as well. And then sort of what next, how to handle these guests so that they will be coming back again, because that's the easiest sales to be gained when we get returning customers. So these are the things that we need to think about basically on every step, no matter what part of the path and what part of the digital marketing or sales we're talking about. So more often we talk about dreaming phase, planning phase, booking phase, experiencing phase, and then sharing. And quite often we only concentrate on the booking phase, or sometimes planning phase too, but we quite often tend to miss all the other three. And that's an important thing to remember and to keep in mind when planning your digital content and strategy as well. When I was listening to the other presentations, I was thinking, okay, there's nothing new that I can bring you, but maybe we'll just dive deeper to the issues that have already been presented today. So when talking about customer path, for instance, when diving deeper, we will be looking at like when do these people that we tend to attract are doing things? When are they dreaming? Where are they dreaming? What applications do they use, or are they in social media, or we try to figure this out by thinking about our own behavior, but also by using data. And that's another issue that I will be talking about later on. But here's just a basic model how to figure things out. And this changes based on each customer's needs. So this is something that that all your small businesses could use to plan their actions. Here's one very rough, harsh generalization about Ruka Kuusamo's target group, one of our main target groups, family with kids. So there are two adults, quite often female and male. Not necessarily, but this is the most sort of traditional model. And then 1 to 2 children, just to sort of keep it simple, we'll say they are in school age. And they're looking for holiday resorts that attract kids. So they have something to offer for the children, and hopefully something to offer for the adults as well. And when talking about the kids, they are not the decision makers in this case, but they might be, and quite often are, influencing the decision making by comparing and listening and comparing to the experiences of their friends, messages, explicit or hidden, that their friends or other kids at school may be saying, and of course, if they are in such an age that they use social media, then they will be gaining some information or input from social media as well. What we noticed then is that quite often the male adult is the one who's doing the scouting, sort of doing the dreaming section, but sometimes a bit from a technical point of view, just trying to figure out which would be a suitable resort based on their budget and based on the forms of transportation that they quite probably will be choosing, and so on. And here, impressions from social media as well as testimonies from family and friends are playing an important role. And then what we notice is that the female adult, however, quite often is the one booking the holiday, and basically booking the accommodation. And then if the sort of transportation is needed, that needs to be booked in beforehand, meaning that they're not driving their own car, but they're using an airplane or booking a train, then she might be booking these too. And she might be using online travel agencies or DMO websites, or then websites by the small businesses. Or any of these, or a combination of these. And if there are adventures or activities that may be limited in number, like in our case, husky safaris, or if they get it cheaper by booking it in advance, they'll be booking their activities in advance as well. But then some activities are booked on location, if especially if they are weather dependent, or if for some reason they have not quite yet decided. And when they are looking for information on location, they quite often go for the DMO website or business's own websites. And in that case, opening hours are really important information, and then easy booking online or at the front desk wherever that is, whether it's the hotel or the tourist info or whatever contact that they find. And then one case are the restaurants. Most often they are chosen on location. And once again, opening hours are important to be found. And then menu online, because they want to choose which restaurants suit the whole family, meaning that the kids can find something to eat as well. And then they might make a table reservation online if it is needed or recommended. So this is pretty much the way they go, very roughly. And now, whatever business you are presenting, you need to figure out the paths of your own customers and which way or on which phase you can affect their decision making. And traditionally, the websites of the small businesses are seen as the home base of the trustworthy information, especially regarding the products, and of course the trustworthiness of the company itself as well. And nowadays, even if I have not written it here, a whole lot of guests are interested in the sustainability issues as well. So they might be looking for this kind of information on the website. And what should be there too? Besides the product info, of course, prices. They should be up to date for the present period and also for the future. And webshop as well. And this is basically the main selling channel for many tourist companies nowadays. However, at this point, I might point out that based on the recent researches, only 20% of all the businesses in the world are selling digitally. So they are using e-commerce. It might be web shop, or it might be sales via Instagram or Facebook or whatever channel they might find. But only 20% do this. And in the opposite section, only 20% of all the people in the world are buying online. So there's a huge gap altogether, or huge victory to be made on both sides. There could be so many more companies selling online, and there could be so many more customers buying online. So it's an important step to take. And we saw that in the charts earlier this evening as well. Small businesses are not actually shining in this scale, so a lot of progress could be made in this respect. Then one thing that should be very, very visible are the contact details, because if the customers have some questions, they need to be able to contact before booking. Of course, the best thing to have is to have such complete details on each product that bookings can be easily made and there are no questions left. But then again, all of us are different. So even if you think that you've presented everything in a perfect manner, people might not find the information and they end up calling or sending email. Opening hours, as mentioned before, is very, very important, especially if you're not open sort of year-round with very attractive opening hours. So information about current opening hours as well as future opening hours is very important to show. And all this information, as said, should always be up to date. So this is sort of the first optimization thing to do. All of this stuff needs to be sort of top quality and easy to use and easy to find. We'll get back to those issues later on. So when talking about optimization, we talk about website design. And as mentioned in previous presentations, mobile first. Over 80% of users connect with mobile devices. And that sometimes is a sort of a tricky thing because all the planning and the coding is however done on laptops, and we always need to remember to check the outcome in mobile devices. And also the progress and development in mobile devices is really, really fast. So you need to be able to test, or need to remember to test in several different kinds of devices. And when talking about website design and altogether renewing your platform, the best thing you can do is to choose a knowledgeable tech partner, because a whole lot of issues gets tackled by choosing a good partner. Of course, sometimes you need to choose a suitable platform first in order to sort of recognize who could be your tech partner. And this means that you need to be able to know your needs and sort of what level of content production you will be doing later on. This is the point where you should and could be asking from your fellow entrepreneurs or even your competitors. And of course, the tech partners themselves, first they try to sell their services, but if you find a proper tech partner, they quite often are able to tell or pinpoint your needs as well, so that you can get further with choosing the correct things. And of course, nowadays you need to make sure that you take care of GDPR and cookie consents and all that stuff. And once again, if you choose a good partner, they'll basically take care of this for you, or at least make sure that proper things are suggested. Sometimes you need to figure out which way to go first, money-wise, what things to do first. But of course, when talking about laws and regulations, you can't skip those either. So these things need to be done in proper order. And whenever planning or doing a new website, planning is the key for creating a good website. So make sure that you have your concept figured out, and you have your content planned in advance, and you don't just start writing and adding images. We'll take a look at some basic stuff that we did when we renewed our website on 2021, and we're really sort of going deep into the designing world or concepts and stuff like that. Unfortunately, this presentation is in Finnish. I'll just pinpoint some issues here. So we have, with our partner, done some concept work in the beginning. And for instance, this image shows quite a lot of the stuff that we did originally. This terrible looking thing on the left is our original website. So what's all the boxes are content on the website, and all the lines in between are the relations on how this content was or pieces of content were connected to each other. It doesn't look very appealing, and it doesn't look very easily understandable. And the picture on the right, unfortunately, you can't see a whole lot of it. I'll zoom in a little bit. It doesn't get any more accurate or sharp, but you can at least see some images in it. This is what they suggested to us. So there's the main page, and then there are several paths to dive deeper into the content. And this is pretty much what we fulfilled as well when renewing our website. So planning like this, realizing what we have done in beforehand, if we have already had a website, and most companies have had it, and now they are in the phase of actually stepping higher and developing their content further. So they need to take a look at what has been done and what could be done later on. We've had several workshops with our member companies from restaurants or hotels or adventure companies planning the content with us on a general level, as well as thinking about the customer roles that we might have and their paths on the website. So that way we've come with a prototype with the main page and models of several different page types and elements on those pages. There's also a sort of a written or verbalized service concept on the website. And these images show the page types that we have and elements on the page types. And this whole concept verbalizes how to use these content, what is the purpose of each content. So this was the sort of the first step. Actually, now I remember that there was even a prior step, just 1 second, and it was not that. Where do I have it? Before we did the concept, we actually did the keyword analysis. Unfortunately, I've closed it now. Let's see if I can find it quickly without using too much time. There we go. So here was our keyword analysis for our English website, and it contained some sort of general information about our area, Ruka Kuusamo in general, and then it had a list of keywords based on different sort of perspectives. What was most searched, what keywords gained most traffic without Ruka, which is a very sort of popular word, and we are winning all the contests regarding Ruka. So we wanted to know what can we win, or what is happening without this keyword, or Kuusamo as well. What is ranked highest? And there are always suggestions by our partner on what to focus on. And there's always, or there are 3 dimensions in this. What's the rank? What's the volume of the searches? And what's the difficulty level based on how competitive this keyword is? And that way they could recommend things to grasp into, since some keywords were too difficult to compete on. So we got great lists and we got their suggestions on which keywords to use and also how to use them. And we also got suggestions based on vocabulary, knowing what our target groups are, meaning English-speaking guests in the UK, as well as English-speaking guests in, say, Central Europe, Germany, the Netherlands, which words to use, which words not to use, if there were several similar words connected. And also they took a look at our competitors and how they are doing and how could we be doing compared to them, both in Finland and also in Sweden, since some guests might be comparing only the sort of Scandinavian and Lapland area, meaning Finland, Sweden, and Norway. And also we got very specific suggestions on what to do with our top activities, the top activities that we wanted to be competing in. So this was actually prior to the concept itself, or together with the concept. And what happened then when going really deep into planning the content of the website? This is my sort of basic chart that I used when building the website, talking about the menus, which content was sort of higher in the menus and which goes to the following levels. And then actually writing the names of the menus based on the keywords that will be used on those that particular page, and then writing the title tags and meta descriptions that we'll be talking about a little bit later. So this was our basic planning concept, and then of course writing the content itself. So we had certain page types that we were using in Word, basically, so that everybody could access the content. We were using, we were writing the text, titles, subtitles, and choosing the links and thinking where to link from each particular page. So this was the design formula, so to say. And what, of course, we had to think about while designing a new website was all the phases that we talked about earlier, especially the ones that we know that are important to our guests. So we wanted to emphasize streaming, make sure that we have appealing high-quality images presented on the website and showing the products, especially adventures in our area, as well as the sceneries of our area. And then regarding the planning phase, we wanted to make sure that the path from dreaming to planning to booking is smooth. Content is easily used by mobile. Prices are always up to date and easy to find. And there's always availability when talking about going towards booking. And in our web shop, we made sure that it is as easy to use as possible. Money is always a big question, because the better you want to make it, the more it's going to cost. Well, you can make bad coding and bad user experience with a lot of money too. So cost doesn't always create quality, but anyhow, quite often when you want to make it good, it's going to cost too. And some issues to consider based on customer feedback, some we have not been able to fulfill, but when you make a web shop, you should make sure that guests can pay with all payment options, because this is one thing that might actually throw your guests away if you cannot make sure that they can pay with both credit cards and via their online bank, and also with mobile pay and whatever they want to use. Of course, considering also different nationalities and different tools that they use. In China, it has been a bit tricky, but at the point when Chinese guests were a big part of the international guests coming to Finland, we also had to take a look at their systems and which way to go. And once again, visible contact details if there is a blocker, so that the guests can't book at that point, but they need to ask for more information. And of course, preferably language options based on the target groups. However, English is widely used, so you can go quite far with it. But sometimes if you know that your guests are using or preferring to use their own language and might have issues when booking in English, then you need to reconsider whether you need translations for those languages as well. This is all really sort of basic stuff, but quite often companies tend to lack some of these issues, and especially the appealing high quality images is a big shortage even nowadays. Even if you can really have nice high quality pictures or images with your mobile phone, but still, especially when talking about accommodation, we see really poor images on websites and web shops, and that's for many guests that's a real sort of turning point where they tend to take a look at the prettier pictures and choose their accommodation based on that. And or if you have just only a couple of pictures and you don't show images of the bedrooms at all, or the kitchen, or whatever is important to your guests, then just adding more images might be the thing that lures your guests. We already sort of talked a little bit about content when showing our path or designing concepts, but once again, planning comes first. You need to know what your guests, who your guests are, and what their needs are when planning your content. And of course, doing the keyword analysis helps a whole lot in making sure that you basically have or you are trying to win the battle with each keyword. And at this point, I might point out that basically when trying to make good content, you should concentrate on making or choosing one keyword per one page. So you only have one message on each page. Sometimes it's really hard, but especially now when people are using websites with mobile devices, the websites cannot be too long. Preferably, of course, you need to have a whole lot of information on your website if you want to make sure that guests are able to book online as well. But it's always better to have more pages with sort of distinctive content or information or message on each page, and not making the pages too long. And when talking about website optimization, you basically talk about search engine optimization, meaning the content itself, and then the tech optimization, the way the platform and the website itself works. And here again, choosing a good tech partner is very valuable. If you have a very old platform that doesn't optimize images the way Google wants or prefers, we don't know the way Google works, but there are hundreds of issues that Google is estimating when looking at each website. So good tech partners try to keep up to the issues that seem to be affecting Google's opinions at each point, and making sure that tech-wise all those issues are tackled. But when talking about content optimization, think about search engine optimization. It's not that difficult altogether. It's a couple of main things that you should concentrate on. So the title, when you have decided what is your keyword and what is your message, make sure that the title is short and tempting and it's within the amount of characters that Google says it or whatever search engine your customers in their own country are using. But mainly we're talking about Central Europe, so we're talking about Google. So Google says, okay, it's 60 characters, so you need to stick with this. Then making sure that there is a meta description. So it might be a sort of tech-based issue. So always your ingress text is the meta description, and then you should fill content or write content into that field, or then you can of course always add it separately as well, but you need to make sure that it's showing, so there is some content there. And again, appealing message, and it is within the amount of characters that Google says it needs to be. So when we were building it, it was 100, oh, sorry, such a small screen, 160 characters. And then images, as mentioned already a whole lot of times. So they need to be high quality and appealing. Nobody wants to see a smushy or unattractive image. It needs to be sort of descriptive, so that it actually is telling something or adding something to the page. It's telling more about the product or adventure, whatever you're trying to sell. It needs to be in correct size, unless it is resized by the platform, which is of course always the better way to go, so that it doesn't make the page load time longer. But this is something you need to know, or ask your tech partner whether you need to resize the images by yourself to make sure they're not too heavy to load, or whether the platform does it for you. And then we come to things or issues that are sort of make or break issues. And I have to admit that these are the things that we always forget to do or don't have time to do correctly. So you should always fill in the title and alt text to your images, and in all the languages that you're using on your website, to make sure that whenever people search using search engines and wanting to see their search results as images, your images can be found. If they're losing the title and the alt text, and you've and they're always their names are like picture number 2024.gpt, it's not going to work. So you always need to make sure that all your images can be found by the search engines as well. And then, as mentioned, the keywords that you're using, or keyword that you're emphasizing on that particular page. The emphasis of the keywords is not that important anymore, meaning the keywords that you can fill in on each particular page. But still, they can be used as well. And there are a lot of free or low-cost tools for measuring the quality of your website. And Google offers a whole lot of these, as well as for choosing your keywords. You can use Google Trend and all the tools that come with it to make sure that you find out what your guests are doing, as well as when doing using Google Ads for advertising. You can basically see how your ads are doing and how your content is doing compared to your competitors. So it's not always a big cost, but it is time consuming, and you sort of need to know what you're doing with those tools, so that it's not just time wasted, but actually gives you important information as well. So in this case as well, I would recommend considering using a knowledgeable partner for measuring the quality of your website. You can either use your own tech partner, or you can use some other partners, so that you can make sure that there are always sort of two people at least looking at it from a different perspective. Okay, then going into social media. So the whole sort of section of website optimization also suggested that I would talk to you a little bit about social media. And since time seems to be running rather fast, I will keep this rather short. And I assume that we are all pretty much users of at least one or two or even more social media platforms. So I'm not really talking about how to use them or what kinds of elements or tools or content they are offering, but just talking about social media a bit in general. So whatever social media you decide to use by reaching or for reaching your guests, of course, once again, you need to know who your guests are and where do they find their information, and that way choose which social media to go into. And once you've chosen, you make a social media strategy, meaning that you figure out what is the meaning of your own website, what is the meaning of one particular social media platform and another social media platform, so that they each have a separate meaning, and of course realizing they each work in a separate or particular way. And once you have a strategy, you can make a content calendar and make more accurate plans on the content itself. And keep in mind that creating an engaged audience is always more important than the amount of followers or likes you get, because if you're just trying to attract a wide audience, they might not be people who are actually buying your products. So make sure that they're interested instead of that they are a large number of people. And as mentioned before, each channel has their its own peculiarities or its own meaning. So make sure that that you realize what these features are, and basically you need to create content for each particular channel separately. Sometimes you can use tools to make or push the same content to all channels, but keep in mind that mostly the users have chosen that specific channel for a specific reason. There are reasons why they use TikTok, or there are reasons why they use Twitter. So you need to realize what these differences are. And then again, good quality images and especially videos. Basically, when talking about social media, video is the word of the day. So that's what people are consuming at the moment, and that's what you should be doing as well. But then again, we're talking about money and know-how, how to create interesting videos. And at this point, I would always say that I'd preferably choose just one or two social media channels and try to create content, quality content to these, instead of choosing a whole bunch of channels and then not really doing anything good on any of those. And and keep in mind that people are becoming more selective, and they sort of their toleration on crap is growing lower and lower. So so you really need to be able to attract them, and this quite often costs money. Not always. If you you might be able to do this on your own as well if you have a good message, and if you are sort of tech not tech wizard, but just comfortable with social media platforms. What are the platforms that our guests use? Well, Facebook is still the largest, even if you're hearing that Facebook is dying. It's trying to prevent its death by evolving. We'll see what happens. YouTube is the sort of number 2. And here I think we can see the big impact on videos, as well as when looking at TikTok. It's number 6 at the moment. And WhatsApp is interesting regarding advertising, totally a world on its own. Instagram videos, pretty pictures as well. WeChat, a bit of a different world. But this is the sort of the big list at the moment. And then when we look at social media marketing, so we were talking about social media sort of organic content previously. When we shift to marketing, there are some interesting issues to consider. First of all, I would say create organic presence first and then consider marketing. If you don't have an organic presence at all on that particular channel, marketing quite rarely works. So you need to be present there to be able to serve your guests when they get interested. And based on the recent researches, 58% of the companies around the world, so this is not only tourism or not only small companies, but all companies around the world use at least one social media platform for marketing. And out of this number, Facebook is the biggest, but it's not very far from Instagram or WhatsApp or YouTube. But then when you consider the previous image, TikTok is number 6. And its size is 1/3 of the size of the Facebook. Only 4% of the marketing done in social media is done in TikTok. I would say it's because it's such a different world for first of all the people doing the social media marketing. People of my age or a little bit younger, but definitely not the original user age of TikTok itself. So it's of course TikTok, the medium age is growing higher as well, and there are probably some some new platforms arising, but still it's important how differently the marketing is done altogether. And of course, some of these new platforms have already only recently started to allow marketing altogether. So it's really hard to even find information on how to do marketing, what would be effective. They might not actually bring us sort of adequate statistics on which to base our decision making. So all those might be the reasons why marketers are not touching TikTok yet. But once again, when doing social media marketing, planning is the key to success. So remember the paths and remember to think what is the aim of your marketing campaign. Now let's see, what do I have here, because I see that we're exceeding the time of this section a little bit. I will probably skip the future stuff at this point and talk just shortly about online reputation management. Actually, we already saw some outputs of this in the previous presentation when talking about open data. And I have only a couple of things to talk about this, because this is a very specific and whole deep diving issue altogether. So just some general issues or instructions. Ask feedback whenever possible and show it in public. So make sure that you have either an automatic system in your booking processes to ask for feedback, and make it as easy as possible. And make sure that whenever your web shop or whatever stuff you're doing is able to show the stars or whichever sort of way to show the reviews of your guests, you're using those tools. And altogether, I would say Google My Business is an important thing to keep up to date because it's the way to encourage your guests to give their reviews, and also your future or possible guests will be looking at those reviews. And then follow the feedback. Whether it's Google or TripAdvisor or whatever, make sure that you follow those and answer whenever possible. And it can only be, or it can also be like, thanks for your feedback and see you, even if people are just saying, I was here, or I was here and it was nice. And of course, if they are giving you negative feedback or critics, then it's always important to make sure that you answer something. If it needs to be continued in a separate conversation or private conversation with the guest, even in those cases, you should answer something in public as well. And if possible, if you get negative feedback, answer on the same channel as the original feedback, if possible. But sometimes you need to continue, for instance, by email. And there are a whole bunch of online reputation platforms that you can use so that you can find out what kind of reviews you are receiving on each channel. Those are really great for getting the big picture. Unfortunately, they tend to be rather expensive at this point. I think sort of internationally and on national level, tourism boards and DMOs are trying to get hands on those tools and then make it easier for the companies to use them as well. So here was the section regarding the website optimization. Do you wish to have a short break, or do you have any questions before we progress further?
Whatever you prefer. I don't know if maybe you need some time, Sari, like 5 minutes or something. Up to
No,
you.
it's actually
We have
the
enough
same
time, so.
Okay, it's in the same presentation, so if you're not too tired, we can carry on straight away.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. I'm just actually closing the ones that I don't need anymore, so it's easier for me to keep track. See what happens here. Oh, actually, there was one more thing in this presentation as well, so I'll talk about those two. So OTAs were mentioned in the beginning of my presentation when talking about how to reach our FIT, individual travelers. What is an online travel agency? It's a platform that gathers information, whether that information is related to available accommodation with prices, or available flights, or available experiences, or transfers. Most used OTAs are commonly known are Booking.com, Expedia.com, Airbnb, and this varies based on each country. So in order to choose which OTA to use to be able to reach your target group when talking about international guests, you need to take a look at the top 10 list of that particular country. And this is something that, for instance, in Finland, Visit Finland is now doing. They've done an OTA survey, which will be published probably this week or next week. We've been waiting for it for quite a long time, because this field changes so quickly. And of course, then COVID-19 sort of mixed it all again. So it should have been published already probably last year, but now it's definitely coming, and it's very interesting for DMOs to read and make suggestions on our tourism companies based on that survey. And at this moment, we're talking about OTAs as the only real way to reach international FIT guests, because even if you have a strong social media presence, it's still really, really hard to reach your guests via social media platforms. In order to do that, you should be able to do social media marketing as well. And the competition internationally is so rough and so costly that usually our money is not enough to reach guests, especially when talking about individual SME companies. And even when talking about sort of national-wide level, unless you're Norway, they have a whole, or they seem to have a whole lot of money for marketing tourism. But Finland, for instance, doesn't have. So it's really hard from even Finnish scale to be able to actually reach international guests in social media marketing competition. But what basic things do you need to know about OTAs? The pros of using them is the easiness for the user. So of course the guests want to find out easily where to book their accommodation or what is available and what does it cost. And if you think about Booking.com, Expedia.com, they are they have a whole lot of information and they are easy to use because they have a whole lot of money to spend on the user experience. So they can sort of refine it based on, of course, a whole bunch of information that they gain from millions of users. So they get a lot of feedback, or they gain a lot of data on how guests use their platform, and they can make sure that nobody drops out. Everything works smoothly, and guests, it's easy for guests and luring for guests to book. And that way, they get more and more users, and of course they get more and more bookings for the companies. So that's the luring thing for the companies as well. You might be getting a whole lot of guests via Booking.com, for instance. But what's the minuses? Of course, the commissions. Nothing comes for free. So for a small entrepreneur, the commissions might be too much. And especially when connected to the binding rules, such as you must always have the cheapest price in Booking.com, or appealing booking conditions for the entrepreneur itself, such as pre-cancellation. So guests can book 3 different places, and then they just decide, okay, when they come to the area, they decide, I don't want to choose these 2, I picked that one, or they cancel everything. And of course, because there are so many companies offering their content, it's really hard to stand out. And here, once again, good quality images and sort of as accurate information as possible, considering what you're offering, is very, very important. And then when talking about, for instance, Expedia and adventures, being there may require changes in your pricing, because some OTAs have a rule of minimum 1 person. So you need to be able to sell your product for minimum 1 person always. And that's really, really tricky for companies, because you might only get that 1 person for that particular adventure. Is your pricing is such a level that it actually that you can survive? And you might not know these rules when you are starting to dig into the world of OTAs. So these are the questions that you need to be able to ask straight away or need to realize to ask. And then again, you might have to change your pricing so that you have a separate price for when one person books, a different price when two persons book, and so on. So there are a whole lot of new things for entrepreneurs to find out and understand before they can actually work with OTA. When talking about accommodation, most accommodation providers see it vital to be in Booking.com, but they might not seek very large booking numbers via Booking.com. They're just seeking for presence in that OTA, and then trying to lure, whenever possible, guests to book directly on the company's own website. And some guests don't even realize that this world works like this, and they're always happy to book via Booking.com because you might have the possibility to cancel for free or pay when you arrive and stuff like that. But some guests have realized that Booking.com is not that good of a deal for the entrepreneurs, and they might look for accommodation on OTAs, but then always book directly from the company itself. But that means your own website, once again, needs to be as tip-top as possible, because the difference between Booking.com or whichever big OTA which is able to spend a whole lot of money on the user experience, and your own website is really, really huge sometimes, and you do not want to make it too difficult for them to book, so that they actually choose your company and book it directly from you. Okay, so there was the online reputation thing, and now again my PDF is freezing. But now we're stepping into data analytics and insights, and this is probably a little bit shorter presentation than what the previous one was. What I'm trying to tell you here is to give an overview of the key metrics that your company should be tracking in order to figure out whether they are succeeding or not in the digital marketing world. And I'm also talking about organic traffic as well, but mainly about marketing. And one important or very, very interesting question is what impact will artificial intelligence and machine learning have in the digital world? And nobody knows. So this is something that we all should be keeping an eye on, since it's very, very interesting how artificial intelligence will be challenging Google's ruling at the moment. But when talking about data, first we need to think about why is data important and what do we do with it. And today we've already gotten a whole lot of information regarding this. And still always this question is vital, and it comes first before we start doing anything. And we're not an island when working with the tourism sector, so it's good to keep an eye on the big picture. What's happening on national level, what's happening on the destination management level, and then on the company level. Who will be using the data and what for what, how to store it, how to distribute it, and how to develop the use of the data, and how to make sure that everybody knows their role and is sort of pulling towards the same direction and using the same tools, so that the tools are compatible as often or as much as possible. And for instance, talking about Finland, Visit Finland has started a big sort of knowledge-based management project already years ago, and trying to figure out which way data processing is going, and tourism field in particular is going, and then trying to give instructions on the DMO and company level which choices to make. So that's one thing to consider when talking about what data to gather and what to use it for. And then basically, when turning data into information, into knowledge, quite often dashboards are needed, especially now when Google is shifting from Universal to GA4, which is not very ready or easy to use. Dashboards become more important than ever. And of course, the easiness of gathering all data in one place. And one note that I personally am irritated for is that for many ready-made dashboards, information or data is compared for the previous range. Like, say, if I'm looking at 1 week at this moment, it compares it to the previous week, but by default. But in tourism business, the same comparing to the same range a year ago is quite often more adequate. And you always need to sort of make this shift. And I will be making that shift as well when showing you the dashboard that we are using. And of course, as mentioned before, getting the data is one thing, but then actually turning it, making an analysis and turning it into knowledge, and even making a some sort of an evaluation, and even a picture for the future is a very, very difficult thing. And I think in tourism sector, we are just taking the first baby steps on this field. At least in Finland, I don't know about other countries, but I'm pretty sure that everybody's tackling the same issues. And once again, we get to the same issue as discussed before. Know your customer paths. Who are they and where are they? What are they doing in each level? And you have some knowledge or some understanding on this to start with, but then sort of for the first steps, use the data you gather to make this image clearer, and make sure that your own understanding has been accurate, and whether these things are actually changing as well, especially with COVID-19. Very little of the old knowledge that we had is accurate at the moment. Some things are recovering to sort of similar frames as before, but not everything. As mentioned, regarding website traffic, Google Analytics Universal is shifting to GA4, and the shift is now urgent. Universal stops gathering information, if I recall it correctly, in the beginning of July. So, and we've been suggested to shift into GI4 for, I'd say, at least 2 years now. So this should be this should be no news to anybody. But still, I'm thinking a whole lot of companies have not done anything regarding this. And well, these might also be companies who have not actually used Google Analytics before all the data they are getting there. But anyhow, all companies should make sure that they are gathering information via GA4. But unfortunately, GA4 is still rather raw. It's compared to Universal, it's really difficult to use. I'd say earlier small businesses could actually use Universal to on their own to see what's happening there. But when think about GA4, it gives you a whole lot less information as it is with its sort of ready-made reports. Those might be and probably will be evolving, but still it's a big drop. So what it means basically is that you need a good partner who makes sure that if there are some metrics you're following, you will be receiving the similar information later on. And I'm saying similar information, not the same information, because the way GA4 is built means the whole thinking on the background is shifting. So nowadays, when talking about key metrics, we're talking about users and new users, of course, total revenue if it's connected to a web shop, acquisition, which channels do your customers use, and then basically talking about sessions and events, but not that much the same words that we used or metrics that we used earlier with Universal. And well, of course, there's with engagement, there's average engagement time still, and then pages and screens, which pages your guests use, and then conversions, whatever your conversion point is, whether it's a purchase or whether it's clicking some button or filling a form or whatever way to go. Let's take, I'm just checking what is my next slide. We'll jump into our dashboard that we're using. This is a Finnish dashboard called Business, which is basically built for tourism field. And I'm just choosing April this year. I'm actually checking whether I can compare it with the same range year ago, but unfortunately it doesn't bring me information because we have not been gathering information earlier. So let's just look at the figures as they are. So this is basically what a whole bunch of platforms will look like. It says tells the amount of users for the time frame you've chosen, and the amount of new users and the amount of sessions. And these comparisons are compared to the previous previous time range. So in this case, if this is April, the comparison is done to March. And here you can see the whole month and the amount of total users, new users, and sessions as a line. And this gives you some information on what kind of traffic your website is gathering. For us, it doesn't give any surprises really. It says, okay, here's Easter, and it's gathered a whole lot of guests, out of which there are less new guests or new users than during the different times, so outside Easter, which is not a surprise either, because we already know that they check for events, they check for opening hours, and so on. So they need information while they are here. So this is rather typical. Then it says, where do they come from? So traffic sources. Google, unfortunately, this does not show percentage, which would be really, really useful as well. But most of them come from Google directly, about 1/3 of the amount that comes by Google. Then there are certain sort of marketing platforms like messages to guests and marketing in social media levels and so on. And surprisingly, some other search engines as well, but when comparing to Google, Bing is really, really small. And then it says which pages are visited. The first row is always whenever you see something like this, it means the front page of the website. And in this case, it's the Finnish front page. So this shows all guests, not only international guests, or meaning guests visiting our English website. And then it lists the most visited pages. And this list is throughout the winter pretty much the same, with some exceptions. So there's some basic information about our website. Let's take a look at what I had in mind here. So when talking about website marketing, or marketing that drives traffic to the website, then depending on, of course, the social media platform or marketing platform that you're using, our channel that you're using, the key metrics vary. But quite often we're talking about impressions. So the number of opportunities that people have had to view your campaign. This doesn't mean they've seen it, or more importantly, that they've actively looked at it. So it's something we can measure, but it's more difficult and more expensive to measure. So this is the easiest number, so to say, that we can get, and closest to the fact that people have actually seen your ad. And then clicks. When talking about digital marketing, there's quite often a click, whether it's a click to show the video, or a click to jump into web shop or website, or to that particular product in that particular social media platform. And then there's the cost of that marketing campaign, or that particular advertisement. And those metrics create some numbers that are quite often followed. So CTR, clicks per impressions, quite often called as click-through rate, is one that we follow, as well as CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. And CPC is cost per click. And now, whether you follow CTR or CPC is based on the target, or the way you've built your advertisement. So whether you are actually aiming for clicks, or you're just aiming for showing images or videos or whatever. So you're not always, or you might be following this cost per click, but sometimes it might be really low if your aim is to just show your ad to your customers. So when you're showing your ad, we're talking about brand advertising, and when you're trying to get them to click and buy, it's more targeted advertisement. And how to follow, what does it look like when you're following this? I'm just checking whether I had, that's organic. Here's our online marketing summary. And once again, I'm changing the time range. Actually, let's take a little bit longer time range, because we have not had a whole bunch of ads, not even here. Let's choose 365. This has not been gathering, this dashboard has not been gathering information for a very long time. So we have been doing marketing all the time, but not all the information is here. So I have to take a little bit longer time frame. So your dashboard could be looking like this. It says, it shows certain channels and what you've done during that time frame, how many impressions, how many clicks, what's the cost, and you can only choose to look at these Facebook ads, or look at Google ads, or look at Instagram. And here's the list of the campaigns. And you can see, once again, the same metrics here. And looking for clicks per impressions. If you know, here's our tactic targeted campaign aiming for clicks, then this number should be lower, whereas, sorry, this number, cost per click, should be lower, whereas here we've had the brand awareness campaign, so clicks per, or cost per impressions here is lower, but then cost per click is once again higher. And the same is listed in Instagram and Google Ads advertisements. And what is a good number at particular time is changing, and it's something that you sort of need to follow up and find out from your partners, or whichever way you can find information. Of course, you can also compare to your other ads or other campaigns, and the campaigns that you've done before on the previous on the same time previous year, because the cost also varies depending on the time that you're doing the advertisement or the campaign itself. But some guidelines can be found when Googling the sort of good cost per click, or whatever words you realize to use. But anyhow, this gives an insight on what campaigns we've been doing and what kind of metrics we've been receiving on those. And dashboards usually have some more sort of insights, digging sections where you can find out a little bit more of the campaign. Okay, well then talking about social media and engagement as when talking about organic traffic. Once again, key metrics vary based on the social media channel. I've just briefly listed some key metrics for Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And quite often you need to make sure that you separate organic and paid if you're doing both. Meaning if you're doing campaigns, as well as when you look at the traffic altogether, you need to make sure that you have knowledge on whether it's only based on organic content, or if you have done some campaigns as well. I'm not digging more into these, but we can take a look at the dashboard that we have. I'm just checking which. Okay, let's take a look at some individual dashboards first. So here we have Facebook summary. So it lists the amount of total profile likes. So who are your, so to say, followers? And then it lists for that particular time your, let's take the April again, the new likes, and here once again it compares to the previous month. And then it lists page views, total impressions, so all the times when the customers have had the opportunity to see your content. But then again, it does not say that they've actually looked at it. They might have just scrolled over it. We have not made or had any Facebook ads on this account in April, so paid impressions is 0, as well as organic impressions. That's interesting. I don't know why it's 0, because it should be basically the same as total impressions. There might be a bug in this one. It might have some sort of graphic presentation of the content. So you can see, for instance, during April, when you've had the most amount of organic impressions. And here again, you can see the impact of the Easter time in our case. And then we're talking about the engagement. So content likes, shares, comments, and clicks. And this is the important section when talking about what kind of customers you wish to lure. So I would take a look at these figures more than just try to reach as big of an amount of guests as possible, especially if they comment or if they click. That's a big issue, or share as well, which is very, very rare. Content likes are easily gained, but if they actually do something else, that's more commitment already. And then there's if there is some paid marketing made, you will see figures connected to that as well. So now I took a whole year in this range, but unfortunately, yeah, this does not work because we have not been gathering information by that time. It seems like it unfortunately cannot bring information about the campaigns yet, or then there's some bug with the chart in here because it doesn't show the male-female distribution. But there, you can see some interesting things with the chart. Like here is a high peak, and it would be really interesting to find out what it is. I actually already know what it is, but anyhow, these are the things that you want to keep an eye on, and then dig a little bit deeper and see what's happening there. Same with Instagram. Followers, new followers, profile views, basic stuff, and then talking about engagement on the right-hand side, comments, likes, and saved. This is the section you wish to dig more deep into and see what kinds of people do I have as my Instagram followers, and how can I make them even more engaged into my content. Let's see if there's the same peak in Easter time in Instagram as with Facebook. Yeah, surely here it is. But there's also an interesting peak in mid-April, which is sort of not that big of a time otherwise, and I did not see a similar peak in Facebook. So that would be interesting to take a look at what's happening there. Okay, and when talking about the big picture, we have a thing called social media organic timeline here, which shows all our social media channels that can be integrated into this dashboard. Unfortunately, we're not very active in any other channels but Facebook and Instagram at the moment. So you can see, you can take a look at each post here and see what kind of content you produced. And here on the timeline, similarly, you can see the posts and what's happened with the impressions, amount of impressions after each post. So quite often when we made a post, there's a high rise in the impressions as well, until it drops, but then again it rises. So this is interesting to figure out what has caused the highest peaks, and why is this rising and rising and not staying sort of leveled, and why is at some point things are, or the impressions are dropping heavily. So this needs more digging deep into to realize what's happening there. Yeah, those are pretty much the dashboard pages that I wish to show you. At this point, I can also tell that our dashboard has, we've integrated, or BizLens has integrated some other stuff here as well. So we have, besides those social media channels, we have our newsletter MailChimp, as well as our adventure sales platform Bokun here too. And we can use or take a look at the content based on Google Trends, but unfortunately it's not showing very much at the moment. So it's not very useful data. And we can dig deeper into customer experience as well as marketing performance from several directions. We can make online media campaign listings and take a look at engagement and stuff like that. So it gives a whole lot of perspectives or ways to dig into the same content to try to find out what's happening when we are producing content to our guests and trying to get them engaged. So something like that. This is very useful for companies as well, and especially for DMOs to try to figure out what's happening in the tourism sector altogether, together with the customer reviews and all the content that can be reached or found in the digital world. So this is pretty much the content that I had to share with you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sari. I have a question. It was very interesting and very complete. I was just thinking that enterprises have, well, normally a strategy on the content and on the channels they want to be on social media. But for example, from my personal experience, I'm also looking on the reviews, for example, in Google Maps, no, that the public or the users are creating content, bad or good content, around the enterprise. No, if they like their food or the activity or whatever. Do you have any tip or any strategy on how to deal with bad reviews, or how to I don't know, make the most of the good reviews on for example Google Maps or Instagram or Facebook, or how to deal with the interaction of the public?
Well, as I said, I would always answer if possible, because people are happy when you notice that they've given you good feedback. So I would always thank for the feedback. And maybe if you can find a sort of if there's something to catch into and sort of carry on with the conversation, ask if they did this or that. That's so it's a bit of a time consuming thing to answer to the good reviews as well, but I would definitely do that. And then with the bad reviews, it's important first of all to act quickly. So you need to make sure that you actually see the reviews, whether you receive an email straight away, or whether you, I would say, if you look at the reviews once a week, that is already too slow. So you need to make sure that you notice, you get an email, for instance, you notice that the bad reviews as well, or all the reviews. And then I would generally, or what we do is we generally answer the customer apologizing for the bad experience, or the sort of experience that did not meet the expectations, or did not meet the level of our or the quality of the service we wish to to fulfill. And then, as said, I would try to continue the conversation privately to make sure that you dig deeper into the issues that went wrong, and try to sort of make sure that at least if it's something that can happen again, you try to fix it, and you try to bring a little bit happier feelings to the guest, if possible. And in our case, thinking about TripAdvisor, for instance, most of the feedback we get is actually something that we have to deliver to our SMEs, since it's something that happens in restaurants or slopes or in adventures. So they need to, our companies need to know that things have not gone the way they should have gone, and then try to make sure that they actually keep up with the guest and continue the conversation. And at the same time, sort of make sure that all the public knows that this is not what we want to deliver, and things are normally better. If you can do it in a assuring way, it's always tricky.
Yeah, it's tricky.
But it's important that you answer. And then one sort of tricky thing are the trolls, especially in social media. And that's another issue, whether you just leave them as is, or if you delete the content, or what to do with those. Especially if people have started the conversation with the trolls already, it's sometimes a bit difficult to delete the whole conversation. And then we just basically go with the flow and see how things are progressing. And if once again, if you are if you are quick to grasp the situation, quite often the easiest way or is to delete the comment, or just make sure that it doesn't get any further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sally, so what do you do with the trolls? I mean, do you ask, for example, Instagram to block them, or because you mentioned that you try not to continue like long conversations?
Well, sometimes they're real people, but they're just annoying.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
If it's not any sort of insulting language or anything like that, they're just annoying, and they're giving a loud opinion, we might just leave them as it is, because quite often they are so annoying that other guests are not sort of continuing the conversation. They just see that those people are stupid, so to say.
Yes.
But if they're using insulting language or something like that, then quite often we delete the message. If that happens, then we block them if possible. But yeah, especially when you do marketing, and especially if you do competitions or lottery or stuff like that, you get all sorts of content. So that's very important to follow up. And if you do lottery or contest, you need to make sure that the winners are actually real persons. They're surprisingly, or they might be sort of real persons, but they have a whole bunch of Facebook profiles, and they all lead to the same email address. And it's surprising that people actually use so much time on that, but they do. So, so make sure that you check the backgrounds once you're doing something like that.
Okay. And in the end, there is a lot of things you can do around social media, no? And when you're doing more things, you have to protect your enterprise even more. And in the end, it's investing money, no? So I don't know, what would you recommend for SMEs that maybe they don't have the budget to hire an agency or something? The 3 steps or something to prioritize when they are starting their strategy. Because, for example, doing contests, it's a very good idea to make your enterprise popular, but you have to protect yourself, maybe to have legal terms and conditions. You have to protect yourselves from trolls. What would you say would be like an effective? I know you've been talking a lot of an strategy on social media, but just like a very small thing to do for a small enterprise without knowledge and without budget. Difficult question.
I got the question, and well, personally, I would be very careful on using any contest or stuff like that. Even if it does lure people, but then again, do you want more people or do you want engaged people? So I would always concentrate on the good quality content, good images, and some sort of a content plan on what do you wish to tell your guests, and you need to make sure that you do it in such a pace that it suits that particular channel. For instance, Facebook once a week is probably okay, but some other social media channel might have a quicker pace, and then you need to be able to and ready to bring more content. And I would probably choose just 1 or 2 social media channels to start with. And which channels to go with, you need to know your guests. Where are the buying guests? Those who actually make the purchase, because otherwise you're just spending your time on making some presence, but not actually reaching the people who book.
Yeah, we were talking last webinar, we were talking about knowing your customer, no? The buyer persona. In the end, is the first thing you have to do to address the content. Yeah.
Definitely.
And what about ChatGPT to generate content? Do you think it's qualified content or not?
Hard to say. It's so dependent. It's dependent on the situation and the whole big picture. But with a good plan, you will probably have better solution than just sort of doing things here and there and not really planning it. And it's always so much easier if you have a content plan to actually create the content, because you already know what you're doing. It's on the background of your brain. Okay, my next content will be this, and you're looking at the situation where you can actually create the image, or you're producing the text while you're doing some other stuff, and it's easier to actually get it out there.
Yeah, sure.
And when talking about TikTok, for instance, which is really, really interesting, I would definitely buy the content to start with, to see whether it actually would work with somebody who knows TikTok and produces the content for you. You'll see whether it actually works for your target group. And then at the same time, you can actually learn how to do it yourself if you think you might be able to do it. And it's a bit costly experience, but it might be interesting, and it might actually suit surprisingly many companies if they find their own way of doing it.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if anybody has any other question. It's for me, it's okay.
I have another question, but I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Sorry. Otherwise, I'm so sorry. But do you use any kind of influencer of the region and so on?
Yeah. Yes, we do, but I did not mention it.
Okay.
There was already a whole bunch of stuff to write about or tell you about, and that's another very, very interesting world. We've actually used influencers for 10, 15 years now, and originally we did it in a way that an interesting influencer contacted us, and we decided, okay, let's do some stuff with this person. Now we do it more in a planned manner. We'd like to do longer partnerships, but it's turned out to be really tricky. Like, it would be really interesting to have one particular influencer visiting here during winter and then during summer and trying to reach new customers with that partnership. But it's
But
not
I know
as
that that's
easy.
difficult because the target, I mean, the fans of the influencer in that sense, usually they are more or less the same. It depends, of course, but yeah, I mean, if you
Yeah.
have the target of the influencers, then if you want to change the target with the same influencer, from my point of view, it would be a little bit difficult, right?
Yeah, well, I think with all tourism areas, I'm not sure, but at least here in Finland, we have a problem with the year-round tourism. So winter is attractive as it is. Our summer is really nice too, but we're having really big difficulties selling it. So we're trying to figure out whether the same the fans of one particular influencer that comes here to do the husky safari might be interested in something that we have to offer during the summer as well. So we don't even know. It's just fishing and trying out whether it could be something interesting. And the thing about influencers is that you actually have to invest a whole lot of time in finding the influencer that shares your values and sort of tells their stories in a way that supports your brand. So that's why we'd like to see longer partnerships, because we've already found a good person or a good influencer. So we'd like to see that person doing more stuff for us. But yeah, it's not that easy. But we do about 10 to 15 influencer trips each year, and we're trying to time them during summer as much as possible. But if we get really good partnerships for winter, we do those too. And we do those together with Visit Finland. So talking about sort of how to organize it, or how we organize it, is that Visit Finland usually already finds influencers, or they have some, they also have their separate budget for it. So they have an idea of bringing somebody for some particular season, and they pay for the flights, and we or our entrepreneurs offer accommodation and all the activities and meals and stuff like that. And quite often for the bigger influencers or more well-known influencers, we also pay money. So it varies a little bit. And we also have micro influencers, so they're not always big. If they have a very dedicated fan club, then of course we're interested on those people too, because they carry really interesting conversations with their fans. So those are people who are really likely to buy our product, come to our area, if we get those people interested.
Okay, because I know that with influencers, I mean, you can have really a good results, but is it easy to measure the conversion rate of the influencer? I mean, that you are sure that that's why
No,
I thought it
not
was
really
difficult.
Yeah, and there are a whole lot of things or blockers there. First of all, quite often you don't get any information directly from the influencer. Facebook or Meta has provided some new tools lately, say in a year's time, where you can do, can't remember what sort of partnership thing, where you can actually get insight into the influencers' statistics. But yeah, that's one thing. What channel are they using, and can you actually get any metrics from that channel? And then if you can, or if that influencer can get metrics, do they actually deliver the metrics to us? And then once again, like as in any social media channel or even website, what was the impact of the partnership or the things that we did, or it did something that just happened on its own as well. So as in marketing, always, it's really hard sometimes to measure whether we actually got that particular part of sales due to our marketing efforts or whether it was just a nice coincidence. So, but yeah, we nowadays, because we are getting really good suggestions from influencers, we've gotten a little bit sort of more strict about who we take, and we make sure and tell them straight away that we want to have metrics. And we already ask them, we have already made form that they fill in online, so that we already get the metrics from them. And we tell them straight away that if you don't deliver the metrics that you could deliver based on the media channels, you're not even sort of considered. So we get those metrics really well, already the base metrics. And then, of course, whether you get the metrics connected to the particular partnership later on is another issue. And then there's the one thing also, especially with Instagram and Facebook, do they use your hashtags and whatever instructions you give them? It's always tricky, but it needs surveillance a lot. It needs instructions a lot. You need to be tacky, but sort of make sure that they are happy, but you also need to be strict.
Exactly, so, because you have to get what you want as well, of course.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But it's an interesting field and a totally new world as well that we're trying to learn too. So,
that's interesting.
And when talking about like is OTA is the only way to happiness, I think influencers is something to look at on the social media world, because it might be a really good way to reach the group of people who might be interested in your product.
Yes, I guess that in the other way around, it will be as well a little bit dangerous, because when it's the influencer, if she's or he is not happy, this is dangerous as well for the enterprise. So yeah.
Well, once again, when you plan it carefully, this is what our area is well known of. We plan all our trips, whether they are FAM trips by tour operators or influencer trips. We plan them carefotally. We make sure that each and every step is planned. Yeah, so it's how can anything go wrong? Well, the weather, of course, but otherwise, if you plan it carefully, then the entrepreneurs locally are happy to, and they sort of put in a good effort as well to make sure that the guests or the influencers are happy. So we get pretty good results. And of course, it means that you need to actually make sure that the influencer knows enough of the area so that they know what they're coming to, and they don't have any sort of unrealistic surprises or unrealistic expectations.
Exactly.
Once again, when you plan and have a good conversation, things go smoothly.
Okay.
So I don't think we've had any sort of complaining influencers at all ever, but we do have had influencers who never used our hashtags or who sort of who were disappointing from our point of view, but never really sort of bad for the business, but just not worthwhile.
Yeah, because if you are thinking here.
Yeah, and we try to learn from those cases and figure out together what went wrong, like why did it not happen as it should have, or why were we not happy, and that way sort of make sure that things like those don't happen again.
Yes, totally agree.
Yes.
Okay, so
any
I
other
don't
questions?
know exactly. Any other questions, or maybe you want to share your experience, your ways of doing the social media analysis? I don't know.
I'm not the best person from our team to talk about the social media analysis, since I'm not doing it at the moment. There are other people doing it, but yeah, we have a social media strategy, and we're comparing the results and the outcome to the strategy all the time, and we're using all kinds of tools to make the planning more visible and easier for the whole team, and to make sure that we have enough resources to make or create all the content that we're doing. And we're concentrating on a couple of channels only. So basically Facebook, Instagram, and then thinking about which tools or elements on those channels to emphasize. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'd like to do more. We'd like to do TikTok. We don't have knowledge or like, well, probably we could, we have enough knowledge for doing videos on our own, but we don't have any knowledge on TikTok. So if we start doing it, we'll definitely buy the content production for the first year, for instance, from some other agency, and then try to learn on our own. We might be aiming for in-house production at some point, but don't know how fast. And at the same time, we're always looking for YouTube, whether that would be the better way to go. But yeah, it's tricky. So we're sticking to Facebook and Instagram as it is until Facebook is really dying, and then we have to do something else.
Exactly. And I'm sure that we will have another social media. I mean, something new for sure.
Yeah.
Everything is moving so fast.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even mention Snapchat because I don't see the business or commercial use of it, but yeah, kids are still hanging there, so it's something that might be evolving as well.
Exactly.
But yeah, if there are no other questions, I think then we can call it the day. So a couple of people already had to leave, so.
Of course, yes. And as you know, all the knowledge that we have gathered today, it can be implemented in the project-based learning. I'm sure that it's really useful, everything. So yes, having a strategy and so on. Yes.
Yeah, even when talking about tourism field, it's basic knowledge for any field altogether. So yeah, it's all usable.
Yes.
Sort of on different perspectives as well.
Totally. Okay, so Sari, thank you so much for the intervention.
My pleasure.
And for everything, all the answers.
Yeah.
Okay, so have a good night and afternoon.
It's evening here as well already, evening. So maybe good night for everybody.
Thank you so much for your time. And yes, I would like to remind you that we have the next webinar next Tuesday about resilience at 3 p.m. set as well. Okay, so anything that you would like to ask, let us know. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all. See you next Tuesday.
Hey, see you then.
Bye. See you.
Take care.